My mom threw away all my late wife's belongings while I was at work, claiming she was helping me move on. When I blew up at her, she said I was being disrespectful and demanded an apology. I, 34M, lost my wife Sarah, 32F, to breast cancer 8 months ago. We were together for 12 years, married for 7. She was diagnosed 3 years ago, and we thought we had beaten it after the first round of treatment. But it came back aggressively last year, and within months, she was gone. The past 8 months have been the hardest of my life, but I've been trying my best to keep going, mainly because I know that's what Sarah would have wanted. Some background about Sarah: she was the most vibrant person I've ever known. She taught art at the local elementary school, and her students adored her. Even during chemo, she would draw little cartoons on her surgical masks to make other patients smile. She had this way of finding beauty in everything. She'd spend hours in our garden, talking to her plants like they were old friends. She always said that every flower had its own personality, and I swear those roses bloomed better just because she loved them so much. I kept most of her things exactly as she left them. Her clothes still hanging in our closet, organized by color because that's how she liked it. Her favorite coffee mug, the one with paint stains because she always got distracted while working, still in the kitchen cabinet. Her gardening tools in the shed where she spent so many happy hours. Her half-finished projects are still laid out in her art room, including the set of paintings she was working on for her students' graduation. She never got to finish them. Some people might think it's unhealthy, but these items help me feel connected to her. Sometimes I just sit in our closet and hold one of her sweaters, remembering how it smelled like her favorite lavender perfume. I can close my eyes and pretend she's just in the other room, about to walk in and ask me why I'm sitting on the floor like a weirdo. Those moments, as painful as they are, keep her close to me. My mom has been pushing me to move on almost since the funeral. She means well, I think, but she's always had this way of deciding what's best for everyone and bulldozing through their feelings. When I was a kid, she would throw away my toys without asking if she thought I'd outgrown them. When I was in high school, she donated my comic book collection because boys your age shouldn't read such childish things. Sarah actually helped me rebuild the collection over the years, and now those comics are gone too. Mom keeps telling me I need to rejoin the living and that Sarah wouldn't want me to live like this. As if she knew better than me what my wife would have wanted. The truth is, Sarah and my mom had a complicated relationship. Mom always thought Sarah was too bohemian for me. She wanted me to marry Jessica, my high school girlfriend who became a dental hygienist. Someone sensible. She came around eventually, especially after Sarah got sick, but there was always this underlying tension. Yesterday, I went to work like any other day. I'm a software engineer, and I've thrown myself into my projects lately. It helps keep my mind occupied. My mom has a spare key for emergencies, which I'm now realizing was a massive mistake. She only lives 20 minutes away and has been stopping by regularly to bring food and check on me. When I came home, something felt off immediately. The house looked emptier, cleaner, but in that sterile way that doesn't feel like home. I rushed to our bedroom and found the closet half empty. All of Sarah's clothes were gone. Her jewelry box, the one her grandmother left her, vanished. I ran around the house in a panic, checking everywhere. Her books, her art supplies, her gardening tools, her photo albums, everything was gone. The art room, her space, had been completely cleared out. The unfinished paintings, the supplies, even her teaching materials. The cabinet where she kept her students' cards and artwork through the years, empty. The shelf with all her reference books and art history collections, bare. The window seat where she would sketch for hours, just empty cushions now. I called my mom, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. She answered cheerfully, saying she had helped me take a big step forward by removing all those sad reminders. She said she'd donated everything to various charities, except for the photos which she'd stored at her house because she knew I'd thank her later. She talked about it like she'd done me a favor, like she'd cleaned out an annoying junk drawer instead of erasing the physical remnants of my life with Sarah. I completely lost it. I've never yelled at my mother before, but I screamed until my throat was raw. I called her every name I could think of. Told her she had no right, that she'd stolen irreplaceable memories, that she'd violated my trust in the worst possible way. I said she was a controlling, heartless witch who cared more about her idea of what my grief should look like than about my actual feelings. I told her she was no better than a common thief, and that she'd killed Sarah all over again by erasing these last pieces of her from our home. She started crying, saying she was just trying to help, that I was being disrespectful to her, and that I needed to apologize. She said she'd raised me better than to speak to her that way, that she was my mother and deserved respect. She even had the audacity to say that Sarah would be disappointed in my behavior. My dad called later, saying I'd really hurt her and that while he understood I was upset, I needed to make things right with my mother. He's always been the peacekeeper, always trying to smooth things over when mom oversteps. But this time feels different. This isn't like when she rearranged my apartment without asking or when she gave away my old baseball cards. This is something I can't just let go. Those weren't just things she gave away. They were pieces of Sarah, physical reminders of our life together. The cardigan she wore on our first date, when we walked through the park and got caught in the rain. The paintbrushes she used to create the artwork hanging in our living room, including the portrait of us on our wedding day. The novel she was reading when she got too sick to continue, bookmark still in place on page 163. All gone. I spent the whole night calling charities, trying to track down Sarah's belongings. Most of what my mom donated has already been processed and distributed. The jewelry box, which was a family heirloom meant to go to Sarah's niece Emma when she turned 18, is just gone. How am I supposed to tell Emma that her aunt's final gift to her was given away by my mother? My mom keeps texting, alternating between demanding an apology and saying she forgives me for my outburst because she knows I'm not thinking clearly in my grief. She sent a long paragraph about how when her own mother died, she had to be cruel to be kind to her father by clearing out the house. She doesn't seem to understand or care that this situation is completely different. My sister thinks I overreacted and says mom was trying to help in her own way. She keeps bringing up how mom always knows best and how she did the same thing after my sister's divorce by helping her clear out her ex's things. But that was different. My sister asked for help, and her ex was alive and well, not like Sarah. My best friend says I should press charges for theft. Sarah's brother wants to sue her. My aunt, mom's sister, called to say she's ashamed of her sister's actions and that she supports whatever action I choose to take. The family is completely divided. I feel like I'm going crazy. Did I overreact? Should I apologize? The thought of speaking to her makes me physically ill, but she's still my mother. But every time I look at the empty spaces where Sarah's things used to be, I feel this overwhelming rage all over again. The house doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a crime scene. Edit 1, holy shit, this blew up overnight. Thank you all for the supportive comments and awards. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, I've already changed my locks. Did it first thing this morning. 2. I'm looking into legal options, but it's complicated because she had permission to enter my home. My lawyer friend says it could still be considered theft since she didn't have permission to remove or dispose of property. 3. The photos are safe. I went to her house this morning and retrieved them all while she was at church. I used my old key, guess she forgot I had it. Left a note saying we're even now. Found some of Sarah's art supplies and books in mom's garage too, she hadn't donated everything yet. I took it all. 4. Several people have suggested grief counseling. I actually started seeing a therapist 2 months after Sarah passed. She's been helping me process this loss at my own pace and has never once suggested I need to move on or get rid of Sarah's things. 5. To those asking about Sarah's family, yes, they know. Her parents passed years ago, but her brother is furious. He's already called mom and read her the riot act. Edit 2, update, some amazing news. The post went viral locally, and someone recognized Sarah's jewelry box at their local thrift store. They hadn't put it out for sale yet. I'm picking it up tomorrow. Also, 3 different people found pieces of her clothing at various donation centers and reached out. One of them was her favorite sweater, the one she always wore during chemo. I broke down crying when I got that message. A former student of Sarah's saw this post and started a Facebook group to help track down her belongings. The response has been overwhelming. People are checking thrift stores, consignment shops, and donation centers all over the area. It's touching to see how many lives Sarah impacted and how many people want to help preserve her memory. My mom sent a long email basically saying she's sorry I'm not ready to appreciate what she did for me and that she'll be there when I'm ready to move forward. She included several links to articles about unhealthy grief and letting go of lost loved ones. I sent back a short response telling her that her actions have permanently damaged our relationship, and until she can genuinely understand and accept responsibility for what she did, I don't want any contact. My therapist helped me realize something important: this was never really about helping me. It was about my mom's discomfort with my grief and her need to control situations she doesn't understand. She couldn't handle seeing me in pain, so she tried to fix it the way she's always fixed things, by taking charge and making decisions for others. But grief isn't something to be fixed. It's not a problem to be solved. It's the price we pay for loving someone deeply, and I'm not ashamed of carrying that love with me. Sarah was the love of my life, and I'll move forward at my own pace, carrying her memory with me in whatever way feels right. Edit 3, more updates because people keep asking. We've managed to recover about 40% of Sarah's belongings so far. Every time something is found, it feels like getting a small piece of her back. Sarah's students, current and former, have been amazing. They've been sharing stories about her online, and several have given me copies of artwork she helped them create. One girl brought me the last birthday card Sarah made for her class before she got too sick to work. It's now framed in my living room. Mom tried to come by the house yesterday. When she couldn't get in, new locks, she left a bag of my childhood photos on the porch with a note saying, "I hope you don't throw away my memories the way you're clinging to Sarah's." My sister was horrified when I told her about this. I've started digitizing all the photos and documents I recovered from Mom's house. Never again will anyone be able to take these memories from me. Several people have asked about Sarah's garden. The roses are still blooming. I've been learning to care for them the way she did, talking to them just like she used to. It makes me feel close to her. Final update, 6 months later. I wasn't planning on posting again, but so many people have messaged asking for updates, and honestly, writing these posts has been therapeutic. A lot has happened since my last update. Thanks to the amazing community effort, we've now recovered about 65% of Sarah's belongings. The Facebook group has grown to over 15,000 members, and people are still actively searching. Last week, someone found her old sketchbook at a used bookstore 3 towns over. The store owner was so moved by our story that he not only gave it back for free but also helped us go through their entire inventory, where we found 2 more of her art books. The most incredible find came from an elderly woman who bought Sarah's painting supplies at a charity shop. She'd actually started using them to learn painting herself, inspired by her granddaughter. When she heard our story, she insisted on returning everything, including some half-used tubes of Sarah's favorite paint. She told me she could feel the love in those brushes, that they seemed to know exactly how to move on the canvas. That's such a Sarah thing, even her tools carried her spirit. The situation with my sister's revelation about Mom's similar behavior with our stepdad's belongings opened a huge can of worms. We've been in family therapy together, just my sister and I, and it's been eye-opening. We've uncovered a pattern of Mom's controlling behavior that goes back decades. My sister remembered how Mom threw away all her dance recital trophies when she was 15, claiming they were collecting dust and that living in the past prevents us from embracing the future. It was always about Mom deciding what memories we were allowed to keep. Some of my cousins reached out with similar stories. Apparently, Mom helped clean out Aunt Linda's house after her divorce, throwing away family heirlooms because they carried negative energy. She did the same to my uncle after his son went to college, claiming he needed to reclaim the space. It's like she's appointed herself the family's memory eraser. Mom hasn't taken my boundaries well. She's been telling family members that I'm possessed by grief and that she's lost her son to a ghost. She sent me a 15-page handwritten letter explaining how everything she's ever done was out of love, including detailed accounts of all the times she helped me by throwing away my things since childhood. She seemed to think this would justify her actions, but it only highlighted how long this pattern has been going on. The last straw came when she showed up at my workplace with a grief counselor she'd hired, trying to stage an intervention. My boss, who knew Sarah from company events and was aware of the situation, had security escort her out. She's now telling everyone I had her arrested and that Sarah wouldn't approve of this behavior. The joint therapy sessions with my sister have been transformative. We're learning to validate each other's experiences and set healthy boundaries. We've also connected with a support group for people dealing with family trauma, and it's helping us understand that we're not alone in this. Remember those roses Sarah loved so much? They're thriving. Her former students asked if they could help tend the garden as part of their art club's community service project. Now, every Saturday, these kids come over and help maintain Sarah's garden. They paint and draw among the flowers, just like she used to. One of them, a quiet girl named Lily, told me she feels like she can hear Mrs. Sarah giving her art tips when she's sketching in the garden. The garden has become a sort of healing space. Sarah's brother built a small memorial bench, and we added wind chimes made from some of Sarah's recovered paintbrushes. The kids helped design a mosaic stepping stone path using pieces of Sarah's broken pottery we found in Mom's garage. It's become more than just a garden, it's a living tribute to Sarah's spirit. The whole experience has created some amazing connections. The woman who found Sarah's sweater at the donation center has become a close friend. She's an art teacher too, and she's helped organize an annual art scholarship in Sarah's name at the elementary school. The first recipient was a young girl who, like Sarah, loves drawing cartoons on face masks at the children's hospital. After much consideration, I decided not to pursue legal action against Mom. Not because she doesn't deserve it, but because Sarah wouldn't have wanted her memory to be entangled in a bitter legal battle. Instead, I've channeled that energy into working with a local advocacy group to propose legislation about property rights in grief situations. We're calling it Sarah's Law, and it would make it a specific offense to dispose of a deceased person's belongings without explicit permission from their next of kin. I'm still grieving, and that's okay. I've learned that moving forward doesn't mean leaving Sarah behind. The house feels like home again, filled with the artwork her students created, photos shared by friends and family, and the new memories we're making in her garden. I've started painting too. I'm terrible at it, but it makes me feel close to her. Sometimes I use her recovered brushes, and I swear I can feel her guiding my hand, probably laughing lovingly at my awful attempts. Mom and I are still not speaking, and I'm at peace with that decision. My therapist helped me understand that sometimes the healthiest thing we can do for ourselves is to let go of toxic relationships, even with family. My sister and I are closer than ever, and we're planning to write a book about generational trauma and the importance of preserving memories. To the Reddit community, thank you. You've been an unexpected source of strength and support. To those who helped search for Sarah's belongings, you didn't just help recover objects, you helped preserve pieces of her story. To those who shared similar experiences, your stories helped me feel less alone and gave me courage. And to anyone else dealing with grief, don't let anyone tell you how to remember your loved ones. Whether it's keeping their coffee mug in the cabinet, wearing their old sweater, or talking to their roses, your grief journey is yours alone. The people we love never truly leave us, and we have the right to hold on to them in whatever way brings us peace. Sarah taught her students that art isn't just about creating something beautiful, it's about capturing moments, feelings, and memories. In a way, that's what I'm doing now. Creating new art from the pieces of our life together, painting our story in colors of love, loss, and healing. P.S. Emma, Sarah's niece, turned 16 last week. I gave her the recovered jewelry box, filled with the pieces of Sarah's jewelry we've managed to find. She cried and said she feels like she has a piece of her aunt back. She's wearing one of Sarah's recovered necklaces to her first art show next month, where she's displaying a portrait she painted of her aunt. The art teacher says she is Sarah's eye for color. Some things really do run in the family.